Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Hello. Hello. I was hitting the button, but the camera wasn't popping on. Oh, how we doing out there, ladies and gentlemen? Hello, guys. What's up? Another beautiful week here together on Operation Status Quo. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it as well. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend out there. As now we're really into the new year now, right? Because it's we got through the first week of January, so here we are on the 8th of January, right? So all the hoopla is kind of over and settled down, and we're really getting into the crux. We're getting into the crux of the year now. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, my goodness, people, let me tell you, it's a little, for Florida, it's a little chilly today. It's only in the 60s, and it's a little cloudy and a little breezy. I might have to put socks on soon. So, I do have clothes on underneath the table. I will let you know that. I don't want anybody to get nervous out there that I might accidentally jump up out of my seat and expose something that would not only be offensive to you, but quite embarrassing to me as well. All right. Why am I laughing so much? I don't even know. How you doing out there? Let me give you guys a round of applause. This one's for you. You and you and you and you and you and you. I love you guys. I love you guys. Don't you feel good when we're together? Doesn't it just feel good to be together? I don't know. It does to me.
Heyo.
Anyway, we're here live. I am Pete Palma. I'm your host here today on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen, as I am every day, right? And this is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. So as I always say, please let me know and drop it in the chat. What are you doing out there to create your own flow of quo? I'm looking here over at my YouTube, and it says no data. So hopefully this is being transmitted and coming across out there to you. It looks like it is, but I don't know. I worry about this all the time. It's been crazy with this equipment recently. Last week I had some issues, and this week too. But we're back to excellent condition. We're back to excellent condition. Yeah. That makes me feel so good.
Heyo.
All right. Anyway, so let's get to it here today, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 8th of January in the good year 2024. Oh, I almost said 2023. I almost slipped up. I've been good so far this year. But it is January the 8th in the good year 2024, and today's program is entitled We're All Guilty. Oh, no. What's that mean? Well, since the new year started, it's weird, how things go in ebb and flows, even with the show, I come on every day. So I'm always trying to look for something to kind of talk about that might be interesting. Sometimes, humorous a little bit or whatever, but in general, since this year started, I've really kind of been on this kick a little bit of just talking more about not getting so deep into the particulars of the events that are occurring in our world, but more so like the intention and consciousness and such, behind it. I've been talking about the, psychological warfare and stuff like that, and, powers that be that kind of create an image that doesn't necessarily exist for us to, rattle ourselves around within to try to, coincide with and be accepted within, that isn't necessarily a true essence of, what we are and such. And I just think it's important in 2024 for some reason to, get these messages out there and kind of, for lack of better terms, harp on it, in a way, because, I talk about really it's the same thing in a way over and over again. And, the reason I talk about the stuff I talk about is because I do want to empower people and encourage people and let people know that, there's no reason to live in a fear-based way. There's no reason to live in a space of feeling lack or anything like that, because we are all ultimately cared for, by the universe. And truthfully, on top of it, even the things that we see that are negative in the world, because I definitely believe we choose our soul journey before we come here. And, some souls choose to do the part that they play to, suffer, for lack of better terms, because there is suffering in our physical world, right? But those souls have chosen to go through those traumatic experiences as so that that type of energy can be brought to light so that people can understand understand it and learn and grow from it. Like really, it's a part of like encouraging humanity to move forward in a stronger way. So today's program, I don't think I said, did I say? Oh yeah, I did say we're all guilty. I did say. See how quickly I forget what I said, but that's why the program is entitled "We're All Guilty" today, because we're all guilty every day, but we're all guilty. We're all guilty in two facets. Like one, ultimately, the only true existence is the oneness, right? Where we let go of ego and thought and the idea of separation and duality and such. So we're guilty, number one, of believing that we're these bodies, that we are separate from oneness, that we are, that we're at the mercy of everything out there, as opposed to us being the creators from the center space, right? So we're guilty of that, and then we're also guilty in a sense because our entire world that we see, our physical 3D world, is a culmination and manifestation of the collective energies of the one human ego, the one consciousness that we all share. I know we all think that we're individuals, right? We're all, we are in a sense, but we think that we're this is me, this is you, this is that, but ultimately it is all one cohesive ball of fun working together to create the world that we exist within, right? So I think it's important for us to really get a handle on that. And one of the things that I realize the most is, even to try to explain that or get people into that space, right? You have to first be aware that there's something to be aware of, as opposed to being just like a bot, for the lack of a better term. And this is not about insulting anybody or saying who's worse and who's a bad, because nobody's bad or good. Everybody's in just different stages of development and learning and such, right? We have to be very mindful of not judging others and all that kind of thing. Although it's very difficult at times, because we are human and we do have our egos. So sometimes we do get caught up in, things that trigger us. But ultimately, when we feel anger or when we feel anything, any emotion, essentially, and we place it on an outside source, it's really more so, it's our triggers. It's something that is, reflecting back to us, that we're emanating out, that actually reflects back to us in a 3D world, so that, we can process that information. So, we and a lot of people, unfortunately, and this is funny because, I always felt that I don't want to say I was aware, but I mean, I always looked at the world in a way outside of like the normal way, but what does it mean, like, to be aware, and when I talk about it, when I speak on it, I always try to explain it as that level of understanding a separation between you as the individual that you believe you are, and then your higher self that you realize, you're always observing yourself, right? And you think about your mind chatter sometimes, how it goes, oh, what am I doing today? Or what did it do? Or, like the little talk that goes on in your head, like, where's that coming from? Because if you were just one isolated point and you were just it, you wouldn't maybe think, you wouldn't be, going back and forth in your head. Like you could have like multiple layers of conversation. It's the you that's actually doing things and being. Then there's like this other part that's like realizing who you are and what you're doing, right? And then like you almost think of like another part, which would be like, if you want to call it God or something like that, that's like another, right? So I mean, you already kind of see this that there's more to it than just like the isolated, encapsulated, just you as this physical body that's lost in, not lost, but I mean, lost in this crazy world in a sense, and subject to everything that goes on. So I think it's important for us, first and foremost, listen, guys, this is the point of why I'm saying all this and what I'm talking about, because, we see what's been going on in the world. Everybody's up in arms on all kinds of different things, different issues, between the wars and the politics and the financial system and the this and the that, it just goes on and on and on and on. And it's just, hunger. I mean, you can pick anything, right? And just, there's all this stuff that, just is always going on, and we're always, fearful, and we're always judging, and we're always looking, and we're always waiting for the answer, and we're always looking for, who's going to save us and all that type of thing. And ultimately it really comes down to ourselves. And the funniest part about it is everything that we're seeing out there in the world today. Yeah, are there quote unquote powers that be that are, nefarious and such that are, guiding our psyche in a way to resonate in fear and lack and such? Yes, but that is also part of the whole. And, we are the creators of the whole. So, the more people that take the time, to be aware of themselves, to really observe yourself and be honest with yourself, and part of it is traumas too that we've suffered, unhealed childhood traumas, unhealed past life traumas, because again, I talk about how things are not, there's really no such thing as linear time, right? Everything is kind of layers and levels and such. So even if you're in this incarnation currently in your life right now, you still lived previous lives before and lives after that are all going on at one time. So there's a cumulative effect, and we carry into different parts of our karma and traumas and experiences that we've had in past lives. We carry them into this life, even whether we're aware of it or not, right? I mean, and like I could say I'm not aware of exactly what, traumas I suffered in a past life, but there are like things that I believe that I do in my life that are a result of things that happened in previous lives. And that thought process comes from some other work I've done in the past, of talking with mediums and such and stuff like that. But it's really interesting if you go down that road. But long story short, if you basically start from the point, if you're able to start from the point of just being like, okay, like I always say, you're the observer. You as your body, this physical entity, is the observer of what's going on in this world, right? And you are the avatar, or the tool, almost, you want to say, the physical body, kind of like the tool, to engage, in this realm. But really behind the scenes, right, you're processing and seeing and figuring it out. Like, it's like, if you buy a new tool and you want to know you buy a new hammer, how do you use a hammer? If you're just somebody who never uses any tools, I got a hammer and you got to read the instructions and you figure out, you start using the hammer and then you know what it's good for. I'm just, I know I'm making a, very minimalistic example there, but, I'm just trying to say it's the same type of thing. You'll get a new computer software or something like that. You have to learn how to use it so you can create what you want to create. If you're like editing video or something, right? And you have new editing software, you're going to have to learn how to utilize that editing software so that you can create what you want to create, through that software. It's the same thing, with us as humans. We are these bodies, but what do we want to create in this world? We have to be able to, be the observer and process the information around us so that we can properly use our physicalness, as it were, to create what we want to create, and I just think it takes a lot of weight off of everything if we're able to, to do that, and again, the awareness is really the hardest part, because like I always felt fairly, like I was saying, aware in a sense through my life. But at the same time, through the COVID time, I definitely realized how much I was still entrenched in other ways of just going with the, before COVID happened, and our society was just flowing the way it was flowing, I wasn't involved in the way that most mainstream people are, in a sense, but at the same time, I still was engaged with, a lot of the same things, in a sense, like, going through the motions and such, and it wasn't until that time of, the pandemic that, it really kind of kicked me in the butt again and just, kind of reinvigorated these thoughts I've had previously, because the truth is, sometimes you do feel, let's just be real, you feel like, well, what can I do? What can I do? I mean, this is the way the world is, and you got to eat and you got to live, and it is what it is. You can't fight City Hall, they would say, right? But the truth is, like, we can, because again, the world that we see outside is a reflection of what's inside. And the more of us on individual levels, if we take the time to reconnect to nature, reconnect to ourselves, reconnect to simple things, and not be so entrenched in being lost in social media or Netflix and, all the entrapments of our world that have been created to keep us away from this center point that I'm speaking of. So, if we can start with, and I would say this, really saying this for people because, look, what's going on in the world today, it seems so fearful. It seems so out of control. It seems so haphazard. And people are kind of on edge and just don't know what's going to happen next. And what I was talking about last week with all the different facets of the truth community and different things like that. And everybody's just looking for, what's going on and what's the undercover operation and, who's doing this and who's doing that. And, it's so much grander than that. Aside from whoever on earth, physical people that are working to make things better, aside from that, there's levels of spirituality and energy that's also working in conjunction with what's going on the planet to help quell some of the negative energies and bring humanity forth to another space. I would just say to anybody, people who watch this, might be a little more open to some of these concepts and ideas, but in general, our normal world, people really aren't thinking all this stuff, right? They're just every day they put their earbuds in and that's it. They're shut off. But if we take the time to really be aware that we are, aware of being aware, just be aware that there's something to be aware of, and not just your mind is just like a robot and you're just going and going and going, right? If we're able to get ourselves into that space of being aware, and taking responsibility for our actions, for ourselves, being honest with ourselves too, really being honest with ourselves of, who we are, and realizing different aspects of our personality, the good and the bad, right? And being able to work with that and build upon that, or, grow that, and not, cave ourselves into the lower negative vibrations. It's always about the only thing you can control in your life is you, your reactions, what actions you take, the thoughts you have, the words you speak, right? And if we all just kind of didn't worry about what we were seeing all out there, I think, again, that's why we're so bombarded with so much right now, whether it's true information, disinformation, whatever, conspiracies, whatever, you want to say. We're bombarded with so much of it because it's meant to, in a way, keep us distracted. The ultimate work is to really be centered and go inside and be real with yourself and, and show love. It's really that simple. There's no magic answer for, a big plan that's got to be done or do. It's really more so if you feel love in your heart and you create love around you, and what you do has the intention of love no matter what, whether it's cooking a meal, whether it's saying hello to a neighbor, whether it's driving peacefully down the road and, not honking and screaming at people, whatever it is, if you live your life with this intention, working things through, out of love, then that energy, ripples, right? And if everybody, or at least a large number of people, are able to, take a little step back and have a little bit of space and a little bit of awareness to, be mindful of themselves and not be looking to point fingers at others, even if somebody, quote unquote, does something that you think is doing something to you, like cut you off in traffic or something, all that stuff, we got to turn that off. And when we get triggered, we have to be able to have the self-awareness and the self-responsibility, to, not let that send us down a reactive path. We might think something, feel something initially, but it's up to us to build that strength of character or strength of emotion to heal ourselves enough to be strong enough as individuals so that when something does happen, we don't right away just become, a reactive bot to that situation, right? We have the ability to process and say, okay, yep, I feel that triggered me here. It's not personal. This person didn't, say today I'm going to go cut Pete off in traffic. You know what I mean? Right. So, we have to be, and forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, just forgiving, the negatives that happen in the world and going back to the space of, of feeling, love. Look, the world is what it is. You got to defend yourself sometimes. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to speak up. I'm not saying it's all just lollipops and rainbows and unicorns and you're just dancing around. I mean, of course not. But, I'm just speaking from myself. It's been a journey for me in my life. I had my own traumas as a kid, that I worked through over, years. I'm still, maintaining, things pop up sometimes still that can, I realize, that's the insecure part of me that is holding on to this idea and feels that, I have to defend myself or prove something. And I realize all that. And that's why I live now in a sense, as, best I can. I mean, we all falter at times, but, best I can to not ever feel like I have to one up somebody or prove something or, I always love that saying, let them think you're weak when you're strong type thing, like just because you know something or maybe you're right, doesn't mean that you have to go, saying it or proving it, right? I mean, just you already know it. So, I mean, if you, for people, all of us, when we have to go out and try to prove it and, kind of make our point and going to show we're right, we're really kind of bringing ourselves back down. What do we really learn? Like, especially in the spiritual community and stuff, there's so many people that, they talk all the spiritual talk and stuff, and then they're angry and arguing with others. But it's like, if you're really on this level of spirituality, again, unless something is so egregious that you have to, really take a stance to defend something, I mean, every situation is what it is, but, ultimately what's there to prove? Sometimes you're dealing with a different individual, and it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they're on a different frequency or a different level, a different stage in their development and learning, whatever the case may be for them. We all have our lessons to learn. Everybody came here to do that, right? So, instead of, wanting to point the finger at, at them and get mad, we have to, because, again, if you're trying to be more of a self-actualized, peaceful way, and then something triggers you and you go down and start, chastising on that person, then, you're bringing yourself back down and you're not really embodying the, level of spirituality, the level of, emotional growth and such, that, you think you have, if you're sitting there talking about how spiritual you are and, how self-actualized you are and I'm the, I mean, like you're really not, right? So, and that's why I'm so open to admit, my flaws too, in a sense. I'm not perfect with any of this, but that's why I come here and do this show and try to talk about concepts and ideas like this because, it's a work in progress for all of us. And, the ultimate goal is we all just want to live a happy life, right? We want to be able to share who we are. We want to feel loved. We want to give love. We want to, we just want to be happy. Who wants to fight and struggle and have to try to prove that you're better than somebody else or worry that somebody else is going to get over on you or any of that kind of thing, right? So, it's just up to us to create that world that we want to see. And again, what we're seeing out in the world today through mainstream news and, all the narratives that are, shoved down our throat, it really is just like, obfuscation, it is like just like a distraction. It's just like, abracadabra, and, listen, I talk about, paying attention to your surroundings and all. Yeah. I mean, you know what's going on in the world, but you don't have to be like entrenched in it. Like, just say like the border crisis or something, for example. You're going to watch the stories every day about how many people are coming over the border and who should have done what and who didn't do what and this, that, and the other. I mean, it's all so much bigger than that. And again, everyone has parts to play in this world, in this time. And, all that is part of it too, because of all these things that we look at and want to label in certain ways or whatever and feel discomfort about, whatever it may be, politically, anything, whatever it is, then, if it wasn't for those things happening, we wouldn't have the reflection, as it were, for us to process, to say, how are we going to move forward with this instead of just, yelling and screaming and saying we got to go beat somebody up or something like that, or throw people out of the country or whatever. It's so much bigger than that. And those souls that are here doing the things that we look at as unfavorable, are there in that position, purposely. All is done in the divine perfection of the universe, for what needs to be. And as human consciousness is growing at this time and changing, as the earth is changing, everything, right? It has to be in a certain way. Otherwise, people will always just stay asleep within, the mind game that's been created by the mainstream through our technology and the flashing lights and the video games and the processed food that, keeps our minds dumb, all the stuff, the TV shows. So anyway, that's the kind of the message, just trying to get out there, because, as much as we, want to look around and say what's going on in the world, and I'm not saying, whatever, the truth is we're all guilty. We're all guilty because we're all players in this, right? And we all have responsibility and choices to make of what we want to see the world be. So, and the more we stop looking out there and pay attention to ourselves and just be what we need to be, then, that is what will start the reflection that we see out around us will, begin to change. The only reason we're seeing what we're seeing is because we collectively are creating it. We have to let go of our fear, trust in the higher powers, realize that we are divine creations and how much power we have. And just, it doesn't mean doing anything crazy. It just means really living with peace in your heart and being true to yourself. It's really, kind of that simple. And it all starts with awareness. You have to be aware that there's something to be aware of, and you have to get that space where you can sit and reflect. And whatever it is for you each day, going for a walk, doing a little meditation, maybe an Epsom salt bath, I don't know, whatever, sitting in the sauna, playing with your pets, playing with your kids, playing with your neighbor's kids. Oh my God. That sounds like an Epstein joke down the line, right? All right. Anyway, but that's what I got for you here today, ladies and gentlemen, on Operation Status Quo. Just, as we continue on here in 2024 is very young, but we've been through this now for some years. And, I know, people really feel a little more edge. Everybody's just kind of hanging on, waiting for what's going to happen. But we make what happens. Are things going to happen? Yeah, things always happen. But you know what I'm saying? It's all about how we react to it, how we deal with it, how we process it, what we give, what we put back. If something tragic happens, we don't have to come back with, dismay and terror and all that stuff. We can come back with positivity and power and encouragement and growth. So if we can start to just get our mindset wrapped around that a little bit, then it'll make a big difference in how the world proceeds. We want to see that change. We have to be that change, and the change will appear around us. It's not about waiting for out there to do something. It's about doing it from here, each and every one of us, every single day. So anyway, that's what I got for you here today, ladies and gentlemen, on Operation Status Quo. As always, I thank you so much for your time and appreciate you being here with me on this journey together, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't done so already, please, why not? Like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. I love each and every one of you out there individually as well as a group. And until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo, disengaged.